Hey guys, it's Bailey. Welcome back to the channel and thanks so much for tuning in. It was going to be a review of the new Dose of Colors and I hope I'm saying this right, iluvsarahii collection. I listened to like 15 people say this in other YouTube videos, hoping that I wouldn't screw it up, so hopefully I didn't. Honestly, I wasn't really that familiar with her before seeing this collaboration. Now, of course, I am subscribed and addicted, but I did know Dose of Colors, and for me, let me know what brand does this for you, but for me, Dose of Colors is one of those that when they pop up in my feed, their photography and their branding is just so eye-catching and it makes the products look so good that I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna need that. In this case, I somehow justified it in my mind that I needed the whole collection because I bought the whole damn thing. I don't know what I was thinking, but good news for everyone, we're talking about it today, so let's go ahead and dive in. First, I want to start with the palette that really did it for me. I mean, this is really why I bought this collection. Not that there aren't reasons to love the other products here, but this is what drew me in and then ultimately just sucked me into this collection. It's the eyeshadow palette, and would you look at these, well, first of all, take a look at the outside packaging. I love the way that this whole collection has been decorated or designed on the outside. It's a cardboard palette, pretty small in size, but also very slim, so really nice and compact for travel. You open it up, you get a good size mirror here, and then you get 6 eyeshadows inside that really span a good range of light and dark, and then also include a ton of different textures in here. So let's first start with the shadow up here in this upper corner. It is called Poquito Mas, and it is a frosty white with a pink iridescent undertone. Then the shade in the middle is called Sun Glow, and naturally it is a mid-tone, cooler leaning bronze. And both those first two shadows are super soft. They almost feel like a cream in the pan. It's bizarre. So they're not super powdery. You can take a brush, both wet and dry, tap it in this and then glide it over your eye. The pigmentation is insane right off the bat, but if you foil it, I find you get like closer to a true metallic finish as opposed to a shimmery, glitzy finish that you might get without foiling it with a setting spray or water or whatever. Then you have 2 matte shades. The last one up here in the top row is called Wanderlust. It is the deepest of the two, and it's this gorgeous red undertone terracotta shade. It complements the light shade, the first one here on the bottom, which is called Lounge, and it's a mid-tone peach shade. These two you'll notice in all the looks that I show in this video. Those are my go-to crease shades, and I think that's going to be the case for a lot of people, specifically because they're the only 2 matte shades in the palette, but I like that they put the 2 shades in here, one lighter, one deeper, so that you have crease shades for a broader range of skin tones. You got all ends of the spectrum covered, and then some. If you want to go in for an all matte look, you can, because you have like a lighter shade for the lid and a deeper one for the outer corner, or however it is you like to do your looks. And then the last 2 here, oh my god. The first one is Palma, and it is a turquoise pressed pigment feeling kind of thing with these blue and almost purpley sparkles in it. It's like crazy sparkly and amazingly gorgeous. One of my favorite shades in this palette, maybe next to the one that I'm wearing on my lids now. It is the black in this palette, and what got me, I think this is what ultimately pushed me over the edge to buy, is when I kept seeing this in other people's stories or Instagram posts in the pan, it looked very flat and I thought it was a matte black. However, when they were swatching it and doing that thing, you know, with their phone light where they move their arm and it brought out all of the sparkle. And this is not just like a silver sparkle and a matte black base, like that's overplayed, beautiful, but a little overplayed. This is a combination of like silver and pewter and purple and blue sparkle all in that matte black base. And that shade is called Finders Keepers, by the way. But the inclusion of those different colors of sparkles, I feel really tied it into the rest of the palette, specifically that turquoise shade, because otherwise it's kind of an odd man out against the warmer terracotta tones or the peachy tones in here, but just all of these together is such a beautiful cohesive palette. The one thing I do want to mention though about these last 2 shades is they aren't quite as like creamy buttery as the first 2 metallics I mentioned. They're a little bit drier, a little bit more powdery. I find with the blue or turquoise, the shade Palma specifically, if I really want to up that sparkle factor, I will go in and use my finger. Actually, that's true for both of these. these. I find that when I go and blend Finders Keepers out, that sparkle will fade and flake away. Even when, you'll see when I applied this look today, I took a setting spray on a flat shader brush, spritzed it, so I did apply it wet, that sparkle really came through, but then once I went in and blended it out with a fluffy crease brush, that sparkle just kind of fell away. So even if you foil these upon first application, you could still kind of count on those sparkles to fall. So like I said, I do with the Palma shade, I just go in with my finger as the very last step, lightly press it into the shadow, and then lightly press that across my lid to really make sure I get as much sparkle in there as possible. I also realized I didn't talk about the quality of the mattes, and I wanted to because I think they apply beautifully. I think that comes through when you see me applying them to my eyes, but in the swatches, they look a little patchy, chalky. They're not though. I mean, I have not experienced any issues with these blending on my eyelid, but I understand they definitely look that way when they are swatched. So it just goes to show swatches aren't always indicative of how a shadow is going to perform. They are on the drier side, like these aren't the softest, most velvety matte shadows I've ever, like they feel like a harder press, but like I said, it doesn't stop them from being gorgeous and buildable and still very pigmented when applied. So that's the eyeshadow palette, and I really love it. Next, let's talk about the highlighters. There are two in this collection, and I love how big these guys are. So the one that I'm wearing today is called Soulmate. It's a pun because soul is spelled S-O-L, like the sun. Naturally, it has a golden bronzy glow to it as opposed to the other shade, which is Bathe, and it is more of a pink, almost mauve-y look in the pan. Both of these soften up, or that's not really the word, kind of soften up a little bit more on the skin. So if you're worried about this casting a major pink hue to your skin, like I said, really softens up when applied, but does not lose that glow-tastic finish to it. That's what I'm trying to say. So, like I said, I am wearing Soulmate on my face today. And these are a very similar formula to the first two eyeshadows I talked about in that palette, where in the pan, you just run your fingers through them, and it's like you're running your hand or fingers, maybe your hand, depending on how obsessed you are. I might have done it. But it feels like you're running your fingers through a cream product, even though it's very clearly a powder, but that means that you can really layer it and get like a crazy glowy glow without running into any chalkiness or any just weird dry texture happening. In general, I find that Dose of Colors formula is a good highlight formula for those with dry skin. If you find that you really don't want to mess with a drier powder or a harder press, you just need something that's going to glide across the skin and give you that crazy glow without needing to layer and risking any sort of chalkiness on the skin. But both of these are gorgeous. I love them, would recommend them. The one reservation I had, like I said earlier, was just around the undertone in the shade Bathe, thinking that it'd be a little too pink or mauve to look and feel natural on my skin tone and even warmer skin tones, but they really are just both super flattering. Likewise for Soulmate, it's warm in the pan, but it just softens up a whole lot when it's on your skin. That said, if your undertones do lean one way or the other, there are the two options where you can go cooler versus warmer, but I personally think that any undertone can wear both of these. Now let's talk about the lips. There are a ton in this collection, the first of which are 4 liquid matte lipsticks. This was actually my Dose of Colors gateway product. Let me know if this is the same for you below. I feel like these are kind of what put Dose of Colors on the map for me, was their liquid lip formula, because it is so good. Very pigmented and long lasting without being drying or uncomfortable when you wear throughout the day. It's just one of the best liquid lip formulas out there, and the same is true for the 4 shades that have launched in this collection. But let me know, how did you hear about Dose of Colors? Anywho, back to the review. The packaging on these is super gorgeous. They do remind me though a lot of the KKW packaging, that beigey, pinky sort of color and in fact texture, because it's a matte or not velvetized because it's not fuzzy, but like it's a matte packaging. As a result, I think you'll be able to see in close-ups, you know, I have makeup because I was just doing my eyes and pressing the shadow on my lids, so I have makeup on my hands, and that is definitely transferring to these. So it's that NARS-y type of rubberized packaging where it looks gorgeous, but it could get dirty, especially since it's this light blush color. That said, if you're not a filthy makeup monster like me, you'll probably be able to keep these clean, so don't worry. The first shade I'll talk about is the one that I am wearing today, actually under a lip gloss from this collection, but at its core, the shade Peachy is a light to mid-tone peach shade. I feel like across the board, all of these look deeper in the tube than they apply to the skin. Peachy in particular looks like a peach tone nude, but on the skin, that peach, that light peach tint really comes through as it dries, and I feel like it's more of of like a soft creamsicle on the lips. Then there is Nude Chica, which is a nice complement to Peachy because it has more of a pink undertone, so to the extent that you're not an orangey kind of person, you lean more towards the pink and the mauve. This is definitely going to be for you and would also probably complement Bath if you were to get that highlighter as well and kind of wanted a full cohesive look in terms of undertones. Then there is Aesthetic, and I feel like this is going to be my go-to fall lip because it's this gorgeous deep terracotta orangey red, and it reminds me so much of like an updated or elevated version of the 90s neutral that everyone saw. It was like monochrome was very in the 90s, but specifically it's like that 90s deep nude lip. That's what this reminds me of, but with a super gorgeous red base to it, as opposed to like the cool taupes that I feel like were more popular in the 90s. Then the last shade to really change things up from that neutral trio is a red. This is called Fresa, and it's almost like a hot, vibrant coral. Like I don't know why this is so hard for me to describe. It's not at all berry, it's not a blue based red, I don't think. It has more of those orangey yellow undertones to it, but it's just so gorgeous and a really nice change of pace as far as reds go. Maybe that's because that's what I gravitate towards. I mean, I'm specifically looking at this product that I just talked about, but I feel like I have so many of them. This is the Maybelline Plumper Please lip thingy that I just did a video of, but it is a classic blue based red, and you can see by comparison, this is almost, it's just like a pinky coral, but it's still very vibrant and red feeling on your lips. So if you're looking for a red that just has a little bit of slightly something different going for it, this is a really fun one to pick up. Now last up are some glosses. I'll talk about the one that I'm wearing first today. This is the shade Barely There. This is a cream formula, so it's one of those where instead of having a clear base like the other shade in the collection, it has more of a milkier cream base, still a shiny glossy finish, and then there are some slight gold shimmers in here. This one is my least favorite of the two glosses. It's probably my least favorite of all the lip products in here, just because I found, and this can be the case so many times with a creamy or milky finish gloss, but if you apply it so heavily that you get to see the pigmentation nicely, it will then, the pigment will actually start to kind of clump and fall into fine lip lines, or if you blot your lips, you'll find you have that like cluster of pigment kind of where your lips met and you pulled them apart. And not all lip glosses like this do that, but this one just happened to for me. So I find, I mean, it's gorgeous today, but I find it wears best for me over something else, like one of these liquid lipsticks or just a more traditional lipstick, just something a little bit more opaque to give it something to stick and cling to rather than fall into fine lines. This last one, on the other hand, is gorgeous. It is called Brillo, and it is a clear base, like I mentioned before, very shimmery, sparkly, but it has a couple of different shades of sparkles in here. So you have like a warm gold, and then you have a soft champagne, and it looks like there's a third shimmer in there. Maybe it's even like a cool silver or something, but because it has so many of those in there, it just gives your lips like this gorgeous multifaceted look, like a very glowy gloss. The one thing I want to caution against though here is that, and this again can happen sometimes with shimmery glosses, is that you feel the grit of the shimmer in the gloss, and that's the case for this. I found that once I got it to the intensity that I wanted, both in gloss and the shimmer factor, I could definitely, which wasn't a lot, I really don't feel like I layered it on all that much to get this effect, but when I did, I could feel just a very fine grit from the shimmer in this gloss. So if you are totally against that, it's not for you. I might steer clear of this just because it is a formula where I notice it more so than a lot of other shimmery lip gloss formulas that I have elsewhere. But if you don't mind, it's gorgeous when worn alone, and it's also great to add to the center of your lips to make your lips look more full, you know, bring out the center of your lips just to make them look more plump and contoured. And those are my thoughts on this collection. I really hope it was helpful, and I hope you enjoyed seeing the demos and kind of tutorial type things throughout this video. If you want to see a bonus look, there should have been 2 looks in this video. If you want to see a third, I am sharing it in this week's newsletter, so I'll put a link down below in the description box if you want to go sign up for it. It's also just super helpful if you, like a lot of people, aren't getting notifications, or I'm just not showing up in your subscription feed. It's like a weekly email where I kind of put together the best beauty bits for the week and deliver them to your inbox, so you don't have to hunt around for the latest videos. It's just served up right there. So go check it out in the description bar below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye guys!